All right. I think everything's working. I think microphone, everything's working. I think we're live now, so we're good to go. Let's get disclaimers out of the way. This is a weekly live broadcast pretty much every Thursday evening. Right now, we're doing these at 8 o'clock Central Time. Go for about an hour. If you're having problems getting comments answered, because I haven't been good at answering comments lately, this is really the best place to get your questions answered. Because this is, that's what I do. I don't have a topic planned out. I do my best to just respond to every comment that comes in during, not the comments, but the chat itself in the chat. So if you're in the live broadcast, you're in the chat, leave a comment. I'll do my best to respond to all of them. I usually get pretty much all of them, unless you're talking to each other. I tend to skip those over if you're responding to each other. Everything's pretty much fair game. It's whatever you guys want to talk about. Just keep it family friendly. Be polite. No reason to be hateful with anybody. We can have differences of opinions, have good debates. Just don't resort to name calling, cussing, any of those things. Like I said, keep it family friendly. We don't want to have to kick anybody out. So let's get into it. We got Andy Rabbit here. Good to see you. Bucks Mountain Homestead. Good to see you too. And Don says good evening from steamy South Central Illinois. Yeah, I think it's probably steamy everywhere right now. Verna says evening, Chris, Andy, Bucks, and Don. Good evening to you too, Verna. Good to see you. And steamy is right, huh? Andy Rabbit says wet with no rain. Yeah, it almost looked like it was going to rain today. I don't think it was in the forecast, and it didn't end up. We're move in. Thought we might get some rain, but no luck. So Don says it's 107 right now. Yuck. Yeah, that sounds pretty hot. I don't know what it is here. Let's see. Let's check the weather right now. See what it says. Oh, it's cooled off quite a bit. It's only 87 degrees now. But we got a high of like 100 today, I think, 101 tomorrow. I mean, like for like the next week, it's going to be like 102, 103, 104, something like that. So it's going to be pretty hot. Hey, there's Jesse Mills. Good to see you, Jesse. No notification from YouTube today, Verna, huh? Did you make sure you clicked the little bell icon there? I don't know, honestly. Well, you're here anyway. We're glad to see you. Oh, no. Dawn says it was hot here 2 nights ago when they shut the power off to 4 towns here because a crop duster crashed into a telephone pole. But it was a main line. Goodness, I hope they're okay. But also, good grief, having the power shut off that sucks. I've been through that. I was in a hurricane when I lived in Texas. It was Hurricane Rita, I think it was. It came through, and it was a lot of wind and rain. I mean, it wasn't that bad, honestly, not compared to the spring storms we get here. But it lasted for a very long time, and it knocked the power out. And then it was like 105, 107 degrees every day, and our power was out for like 4 days. That was pretty miserable. I can deal without air conditioning as long as I have a fan or something like that. We had nothing, so it was pretty miserable. There's Bob Cole. Good to see you, Bob. Here we got Tony from Toronto. Good to see you too. Kenneth says morning doing now, Chris. I don't know what that means exactly. Maybe you're saying how are you doing or something. Anyway, how are you doing? If you're saying morning, I'm guessing it's because you're on the other side of the world from me. So if it's your morning time, then good morning to you. I'm not really sure how to take that one. That kind of got me lost. But either way, thanks for joining. We're glad to see you. Joy from Western Oregon, good to see you. And let's see, Joshua Davis says, how are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully you are too. Jana says hello from Indiana, 90 plus degrees right now at 9 p.m. Yeah, we've cooled off, actually. It was only, like I said, 87. Yeah, Verna's saying the same thing. Same here. Lots of promises of rain, but not a drop. We actually had a little bit of rain on Monday. Not a lot, but a little bit. It was pretty nice. Caesar says, hey, Chris, hope all is well. Got my first set of eggs in the incubator locked down this Saturday. Well, good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. Let's see, my batch I've got in the incubator, I don't have a lot of eggs in there, but I do have some in the incubator. I go into lockdown on Monday, so we'll see how that goes too. Verna's saying that YouTube always acts up. Guess I'll have to unsubscribe, then resubscribe. Well, that may work. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Hopefully it does. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe it'll start giving you notifications either way. Scrap 5000 says, "What's up, everybody? Greetings from New York City. Smash the like button." Well, thank you very much. We got 20 likes already, so we're getting there. Paula from McDonald County, Missouri, I'm guessing. One of my favorite places. I really enjoy McDonald County. I like it quite a bit. Good to see you, Paula. Sorry, got your name wrong. Jennifer says, "Question, help everyone. Chris, what age do you weigh jumbo quail, please, and thank you." I don't typically weigh them, but if you're looking to weigh them, you want to know like what size they're getting to. Full growns usually are around 12 weeks old, so somewhere right around in there is when I would do that. They're not going to gain a whole lot probably from about 8 to 9 weeks old to that 12-week-old age, but 12 weeks old is probably about the max size they're going to get, so that would be a good time to weigh them if you're just, you want to know what their adult weight is. Now, otherwise, you can weigh them whenever you want to, but that would be my suggestion. May says, "My quail are 2 weeks old. Is it too soon to put them outside in their coop? It is hot here in Kansas." No, it's probably fine. Just it depends on what you've got them acclimated to in the brooder box. If you still got them on 100-degree temperature and you want to put them outside, yeah, it's getting 100 degrees during the day, but it's dropping to the 70s at night. Now, if you've got them acclimated down to that temperature where it's 70 degrees or whatever, then it's perfectly fine. And chances are they'd probably be okay either way. But if you've still got them at 100 degrees all the time, you might want to drop that down to about 90 degrees for a day or two, and then down to 80 degrees for a day or two. Watch them, make sure they're not all just huddled up under the heat lamp. As long as they're all moving around just freely, they're fine. And then drop it down to 70 degrees and just take the heat lamp away at that point. But and give them, maybe 1 or 2 days and then put them outside. Chances are they are probably just fine to go outside right now. I usually move mine outside at 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks old, but I'm acclimating them to that. So they're going on 100 degrees for about the first week until, about the first 5 days anyway. And then I start dropping it about 5 degrees every day for the next couple of days, and then 10 degrees, after that. So it's kind of hard. I mean, it's not a hard set thing. It's just kind of how I do it. Hopefully that makes sense and answers your question. If not, ask again. I'll go into further detail if you need to. Don says, "The keeping the crop duster hush hush. Police told hubby not to mention of who he was or condition." Prayers for that family. Prayers for whoever that is. S.O. Swanson says, "Greetings from Mississippi, my quail family. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us." Andy said, "How's everyone doing this evening?" I'm doing great. Hopefully everybody else is too. S.O. Swanson says, 16 likes, 32 watching. Let's get higher than 50%. We're at 32 likes now. We got 40 people watching, 32 likes. So we're doing well. Who's this? Joe Sandry, I think it is. Says, "Hello, long time watcher. First times to say hi." Well, thank you for saying hi. We're glad you're here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If I can't answer, chances are somebody in here is going to know the answer, and they're going to be able to help us out. David says, "McAllister Quail Trail is on the air." I know where McAllister is. I've been there. Let's see. Andy Rabbit. "I was first tonight, Steve." Yeah, I saw that you were first in here, Andy Rabbit. You were in here early. I just scheduled the broadcast, and you were in like 7:40. I think 20 minutes early. Bev Smith says, "Hey, everyone. Greetings from sweltering hot and rainy Florida. I wish we had some of your rain." Joshua Davis says, "How is your wife?" She's doing fine, thank you. No health scares lately. Everything is doing good. She's just perfect. No problems. Everything's great. Verna says, "I fought with my incubator and ended up with 76% hatch rate." Well, that's not bad. That's I would be happy with that, honestly. I've been kind of lazy with incubating lately. I throw the eggs in. I haven't really paid much attention to it. I'll put them into lockdown and maybe add a little water and then not pay much attention to it until they hatch. And I'm still getting like 60 to 70% hatch rates out of it, doing nothing at all. So yeah, 76% is a good hatch rate. Hey, there's Buster. Buster says, "Hey to everyone. Good to see you, Buster. Thanks for joining." Who's that? Sunny's Garden says, "Hello to everyone." Hello to you too. Thank you for joining. Don says, I weigh my jumbos at 4 weeks, 6, and at 8. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that if you want to get a good idea on how fast they're growing. I don't typically weigh mine at all. I just kind of eyeball them and, pick out the largest ones based on that. I've weighed them before, and done videos on some weights of them from time to time, but that's been a long time. I don't typically worry too much about it. S.O. Swanson says, he's talking to a couple other people. I'll skip that one. Ruby says, hey, Chris, I had one rooster with 6 hens. One died. Not sure why. Just had to kill one more tonight. Her head was torn raw and bloody. She was very weak. I took the rooster out. Will I be able to put a rooster back in? Yeah, that's going to be a little bit tricky. You could definitely put a rooster back in. The problem you're going to have with that is when you mix birds together, and first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you had those issues. Why the one bird died, who knows? It could be any number of things. And the other bird, sorry, you had to put that one down. That does sound like some aggression. Hopefully, hopefully it was the rooster because you took the rooster out. Hopefully it wasn't another hen. If you're seeing a lot of, like scarring around her face, not just the back of her head, then chances are it may not be the rooster. A lot of times your aggressive birds are the hens, and they're the ones that are being aggressive. So watch your other birds, keep an eye on them and make sure you're not still seeing some issues. Now, if it was just the back of her head, like the top of her head, then yeah, that's probably just overly, the rooster overly breeding. It sounds like you had 6 hens, 1 rooster. That's a good ratio. So you're doing everything right. You could try to put a rooster back in with them. You're probably going to end up with some fighting and things like that go on. They might work it out. They may. It's a little bit tricky to do. Some people have suggested spraying them down with vinegar, like a mixture of like 50% vinegar, 50% water, and a misting thing. Just mist them all down with that. I don't know why that would work, but people have said it would. It does help. So you could try that when you put them back in. Also, if you have the ability to put them in a brand new environment, so don't add a rooster to their existing cage, but instead add all the birds at once with the new rooster to a brand new cage that's new to all of them. That will help as well. You could try it that way. Or, if you want to wait until it's not breeding season anymore, you have less likelihood of there being issues with them. So there's a couple of options for you. Or, what I would do probably, this is me, is I would just throw a rooster in there and hope he makes it, that kind of thing, and hope they don't beat him up too bad. Let him just fight it out and work it out. And, hopefully he's okay. That's probably how I would do it, but you would take a chance there too. So it's up to you how you want to do that. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. Hopefully that kind of gives you the information you're looking for. Jasandri says, love the Cornish cross from start to finish, Chris. Well done. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you found it helpful or liked it either way. Hopefully that was my goal. We had a couple people ask me to do a video like that. So I just went ahead and did it. It wasn't any more work really than just, taking care of them. So they are all in the freezer now. Had one for dinner the other night. Well, part of one for dinner the other night. Because, you can't eat. Well, it's just my wife and I right now. So we don't eat the whole bird in one setting. I took the breasts off, made a chicken enchilada pasta dinner with that. And, that was quite a bit of food actually. So we haven't even cooked the rest of it yet. Sunny's Garden says, my baby hatched on the 21st and they're growing. They hatched on the 21st and they're growing so fast. Yeah, they grow incredibly fast. They pretty much double in size for about the first 3-4 days, every single day. It's crazy. Let's see. Rogers 314 says, awesome channel. Arkansas here. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I like Arkansas quite a bit. So I don't know what part of Arkansas you're in, but you may not be that far from me. Let's see. Don says, you're talking to Verna. I'll let you do that. Ruby says the other hens have feathers missing, but they're not bloody. I'm about ready to kill all the roosters and just keep hens. Well, if you just want eggs and you're not worried about breeding or anything like that, then there's no reason you have to have roosters. The hens will produce eggs regardless. Excuse me. Sorry, choked on my own saliva. But That missing feathers on the back of their head, that's pretty normal. That's really not that big of a deal. Now, when it gets to the point of, like you said, where they're completely scalped and bleeding and weak, and that's overkill for sure. But just it's really nothing to worry about. They're just missing some feathers on the back of their heads. That's pretty normal breeding behavior. But again, if you don't want to have roosters in there, you don't have to. If all you're looking for is eggs, then there's no reason to have roosters. See, Wildman Williams says, be right back. Got to lock down my chickens. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully they're easy to lock down. Yeah, Verna's saying to Ruby that it's natural for feathers are missing. That is how they breed. Can't hatch their own eggs if you process all the males. Yeah, so basically the same thing I was saying is that, yeah, that's pretty normal. It's nothing to worry about. It doesn't get to the point of them bleeding and dying and stuff. That's not normal, but just missing feathers is. And if you're not looking to breed and you're not looking to hatch out, to incubate eggs and hatch them out, then you don't need a rooster. But if you do want to hatch, of course, you're going to have a rooster. That kind of hopefully goes without saying. Andy says, I almost forgot it was Thursday. Thanks to Dawn reminding me. I came on to make sure that they were still doing 8 and not back to 7. Now, I'll try to give you guys a heads up if it goes back to 7 o'clock. I'd like to be able to move it back to 7 o'clock, but right now I can't with my work schedule. Bev Smith says, my 7-week-old hens are already laying. I'm so excited. Changed the brand of crumbles I was feeding them and is shocked at how well this hatch has matured. Roos will be processed this weekend. Well, good luck, or congratulations, I should say, on that. At 7 weeks old, that's not unheard of, but that's a little bit earlier. Most of the time, it's usually right closer to 8 weeks old. But congratulations. Roger says, have you heard of peroxide wash to increase incubation percentage? Yeah, absolutely. There's, I use a gold Listerine with water, about 50% mixed with water, and mist them down when I collect them. But yeah, if you don't, you could use peroxide, you can use rubbing alcohol in place of that. There's a lot of different ways that you could do it. So I have heard of that. I've heard it works pretty well. I haven't actually tried it because I just use the gold Listerine. But yes, I have heard that before. So Interiors here says hello to everyone from Gilroy, California. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Verna says the Listerine and water mixture is safer. Yeah, maybe it's safer. I don't know. I've heard plenty of people use peroxide and get great results from it. I don't know how it would be unsafe, but I don't know. Maybe it is. All right, we got a couple people talking to each other. I'll skip over that. Jammin' Mike says, hi, all just came in from weed eating, and it's almost dark. Well, that's the best time to do it, isn't it? Either early in the morning or late at evening, because right now it's just too hot in the middle of the day to be doing any of that. So Intera wants to know where the cooking videos are. I need to do some cooking videos. It's just been tricky. I'm scrambling to get dinner ready a lot of the time, so it's not really, when you're trying to film that stuff, it takes longer. It's a little bit more, got to work it out. I need to clean up around the kitchen a little before I do some cooking videos, but I'll see what I can do. I'll work on it. Roger says it was in Boonville, Arkansas, about an hour southeast of Fort Smith. So a little ways from me. Not too bad. Sunny's Garden says, when should I introduce sand to the chicks? Whenever you want. Now is fine. You don't, there's not really a certain time. You could start them off on sand if you wanted to, and it'd be fine. But yeah, whenever you want to. Tony says, one of my hens laid a 25-gram egg. Is that normal? Yeah, I can't. Verna's saying it can be. Yeah. I don't know. I don't weigh my eggs regularly, so I can't remember. I can't think of how big a 25-gram egg is right offhand, but that doesn't sound that abnormal. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be every time quite that big. But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's nothing out of the ordinary. Verna says probably an egg inside of an egg. Could be, or at least a double yolk. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, hoping I get the time this weekend to harvest about 10 rabbits, 20 quail, and a guinea fowl. Let the freezer filling begin. Yeah, no kidding. Good luck with that. Hopefully you do too. I've got some rabbits I need to process. I got 4 I sold quite a few of the silver fox babies, help pay for feed costs, but I think I've got 4 left, and they're probably going to be going to the freezer. Maybe this weekend. I'll see if I get it done. Let's see. Ruby says, okay, I'll watch the hens for a bit and see if they're fighting. The one that was hurt was the smaller one of the group. Thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Hopefully you don't have any more issues. So good luck. Andy Rabbit says 8 p.m. is working out good for me during the summer. Don't seem we're ever sitting down before 8 p.m. nowadays. Oh, I get it. And I wish I could do it at multiple different times because I know that, this time slot does not necessarily work for everyone. 7 o'clock's a little bit better for me because, go from 7 to 8, and then I have about an hour and a half before I usually, go to bed. I'm old, I guess. I go to bed like 9:30ish, 10 o'clock. So I have an hour and a half to 2 hours after I get off the live broadcast to eat dinner, get ready, go to bed, wind down for the day and all that kind of stuff. This 8 o'clock time frame's a little rough because I'm going 8 to 9, and then it just seems like I get off the broadcast and it's time for bed, But anyway, it's not too bad. It could be worse. S.O. Swanson says, don't forget Chris is going to be live and in person at QuailCon in a mere 37 days. That is correct. That reminds me, I need to get a hotel room booked, so I better do that. There we go. Pull that up so I don't forget. Do that later. Blessed with Pets says, do you have any advice on the subject and what I should expect? What? Oh, I skipped a comment, didn't I? I was confused there. Blessed with Pets says, so I really needed this live. I have so many questions. I had a rabbit die suddenly yesterday, and she was bleeding out of the eyes and nose. I'm suspecting RHDV2, but I don't really know much about it. I don't know a whole lot about it either, but yeah, that sounds bad. It says, do you have any advice on the subject and what I should expect? I don't right offhand. Hopefully she wasn't too close to all your other rabbits. You don't have to worry about it spreading. Bleeding out the eyes and nose, and that sounds pretty bad. I mean, that definitely sounds like some kind of, respiratory issue or something like that. So hopefully it's not something that is spread to your other rabbits. I don't know if there's a whole lot you can do about it at this point if it has spread, because it's kind of, the horse is already out of the barn, so to speak. So I would just say keep a close eye on them. If any of the other rabbits start to act a little bit sick or whatever, quarantine them, get them away from the rest of your rabbits just to be safe. But that's about as much as I can tell you to do. I don't really know a whole lot about that. I haven't dealt with that illness and disease, and I haven't looked that much into it because it's not really that common, especially around here. I wish I could help you out more. I just don't know. Clifton says, hello from South Mississippi. What do you recommend for mites in rabbits' ears? I have a doe that has them in her ears. Don't want it to spread to the others. Okay. Ear mites, not a big deal at all. It's a normal thing. If you keep rabbits, you're going to get ear mites more than one time. It's not a big deal. Take a few drops of like any kind of food grade oil, olive oil. Stay away from avocado oil. But other than that, olive oil, mineral oil, vegetable oil, any kind of food grade oil. Take a eardropper or something, or an eyedropper or something like that. Put a couple of drops in her ear, twice a day. Do that for about a week until all the scabs are gone. And then once the scabs are gone, do it again for, every other day for another week after that, just to make sure you got rid of them. And that should take care of it. That's all you got to do. She's not going to like that. She's going to be very upset with you for putting those drops in her ears. But you just got to do it. Now, don't go in there and start rubbing them around or trying to get the scabs off or anything like that. Just let it happen. It'll be fine. I did find a olive oil in a spray can, like we would spray dishes with, not dishes, but like casserole dish to, grease the dish, that kind of thing. And it was olive oil. And that actually worked pretty well. The trick is just getting the rabbit to hold still so you can put that in there. They'll tend to shake their head really, bad whenever you start messing with their ears at all. But that's it. That's all you got to do. It'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. Andy Rabbit's saying, too blessed with pets, you can call the state vet and ask for a test. You could definitely call the vet and ask for a test. I don't know how much that's going to cost, but you could do it. Andy Rabbit's saying also double bag that rabbit and bury her deep in like Ziploc bags. Yeah, okay, that's not a bad suggestion either. Or throw it in the trash can or something like that. Get rid of it, get it off your property or something. But burying it deep is probably a good idea. Yeah, I don't think that's bad advice at all. David says, Chris, are you still raising California, New Zealand white cross rabbits? If so, any issues? I'm not actually. I have silver foxes right now, and that's what I'm raising. I didn't necessarily have any issues with the California, New Zealand whites. They were great. I just, they aged out. I had a hard time. I wanted to find some good pedigree rabbits. It was a hard time finding any. I found silver foxes available, wanted to give them a try. I like the silver foxes, and I got to say, in a lot of ways, I like them better than I do the New Zealands and the Californians. There's nothing wrong with New Zealand and California. What I found, though, is that especially the does tend to be a little crazy, a little hard to handle, or a little, the bucks usually are pretty easy to deal with, but the does are the ones that seem to be a little bit neurotic, a little bit crazy and hard to handle. And the silver foxes are just, they're so easy they're so docile, so mellow compared to a New Zealand white doe. That's just my experience. It's not necessarily every rabbit's a little bit different. So I've had New Zealands that were easy to deal with, but I've also had plenty of them that were just crazy, and didn't, it was hard to deal with them for sure. So Andy also gives, for Blessed with Pets, also is giving additional advice to disinfect anything that rabbit was near. That's very good advice. Bleach it, feeder, water, all that stuff, and rinse it off good. Set it out in the sun for a couple of days and should be fine. Clint says, I've always used your method of putting 2-week-old quail with the adults. The other day I did it and they were almost killed. I think it may be because it was only 4 babies with about 25 adults. It could be just accidental trampling, something like that. I'm surprised if they showed aggression to them, but I'm sorry you had that experience. I've never had that issue. Of course, you're talking about 4 babies and 25 adults. That does seem like the odds are a little higher. I don't know how cramped your cage was. That may have something to do with it too. But yeah, I'm surprised. Blessed with Pets says, yeah, I put her in a mini fridge outside because I was trying to find somewhere to get her tested, but it didn't know I didn't know it wasn't working. And now there are a ton of fluid leaking out in a hot, moldy fridge. Oh no, that sounds horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. I just have to deal with that. I don't envy you at all. I'm so sorry. Don says, woohoo, hubby came in with our first 2 cucumbers of the season. That's always a good feeling, isn't it? Andy's saying, I think the state vet will test for free. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a state vet. They might. Josandri says, how many quail eggs equal 1 large chicken egg? And have you or anybody in the audience tried to figure out the cost per egg based on feed price, just trying to justify raising some? It takes about 4 to 5 quail eggs to make a chicken egg. As far as the cost, I did a breakdown on that a long time ago. It depends highly, though, on what your feed costs are. I can't remember the specifics of it as how much it costs per egg. We'll see if somebody else knows that. If you're just looking at it just solely on the price it takes to get an egg versus the price it takes to get an egg from chickens, it's probably not worth it. Excuse me, I did it again. All right, try that again. It's probably not worth it. You're not going to see a significant savings, if any. It may cost a little bit more. I don't know, honestly. I'd have to do the math all over again. But there is more to quail than just the eggs, in my opinion. It's the meat production, and that's one of the big benefits. I can't have roosters in town where I live, so I can't have chickens and have the roosters that would fertilize the eggs. Therefore, I could hatch out more chickens and raise them up and eat them. But I can do that with quail, and the quail grow so fast. I mean, they're ready to produce at 6 to 8 weeks, so it's just a more sustainable and a much lower footprint for me. That's the benefit for me. But you got to make your own decisions on that. So we'll see if somebody else has some input on the cost to actually produce eggs. I'm not sure what that would be, but we'll see. So and Tara says that to David Lister, I have California Black New Zealand mixes, and they are great. Processed weight from the last batch range from 3 pounds, 2.8 ounces to 3 pounds, 15 ounces, processed at 12 weeks. So, that is one downside, I think, of the Silver Foxes, at least the ones I have right now, is that they are growing out a little bit slower than my New Zealands did. But I don't know. It's not that big a deal to me. Andy says the problem with trash is that it could spread to wild rabbits and cause a big outbreak. Yeah, I guess that's possible. I kind of doubt that there's a whole lot of wild rabbits running around the dump sites, but I may be wrong. So you may be right. Maybe it's a better idea to do what you said. Marty says, hey, everybody, how's everybody enjoying this heat? It's really not that big a deal to me, honestly. I was talking about that. You watch the news and they're all like, this a horrible heat wave going across the country. They're talking about like it's like, emergency or something, but it's July. It's supposed to be hot in July. And I know a few towns have hit records or whatever, but there's records broken every summer, I mean, it's honestly not that big of a deal to me. I kind of acclimate to the heat and I deal with it. I mean, I try not to be out in the full sun during the middle of the day, but it could be worse. I can remember hotter summers. Marty says, I almost missed the live chat. Well, we're glad you made it. So, and Tara says too, Joe Sandry, is it Joe Sandry? I think it is. Anyway, says for my quail, 3 quail yolks and 4 quail whites equals 1 large chicken egg. So I just say 4 equals 1. Yeah, it's probably, like I said, 4 to 5. That's pretty good. Good guesstimate, I think. Did I miss something? What are we all? Oh, the new cucumbers. That's what everybody's saying. Okay. Spider Rivas says, hello, everyone. I caught the chat a bit late. One question is possible to answer with the time left. Oh, yeah, we got plenty of time left. I want to add more quail to my existing adults. Should I add young adults 6+ weeks? Okay. Sorry, that took me a minute to get through. It was a little bit jumbled and I was distracted somewhat. Okay, so if you're wanting to add new quail to your quail, the best time to do it, honestly, is when they're 3-4 weeks or younger. I would try 6 weeks old is pushing the limit. They're going to be seen as almost like adults by the birds whenever you try to add them in. And there's probably going to be some fighting that goes on when they try to establish their pecking order, defend their territory, all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to do that, my suggestion would be kind of the same thing we talked about earlier, which I know you probably didn't miss because you're saying you came in a little late. But a lot of people have suggested taking vinegar and water, mixing them about 50%, misting your birds down when you try to combine them. I don't know why that would work. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they're saying it does work, so you could try that. Also, if you have the ability to combine them in a brand new environment that's new to all of the birds, instead of adding birds to the existing cage, take all of your birds, the new birds and the existing birds, and put them all together in a brand new cage. That will help as well, because one of the birds is not going to see that as their territory and try to defend it. It's going to be brand new to all the birds. So you can try that and see if that works. If you have the ability, try to add some birds to them whenever they're, like I said, 2 to 3 weeks old, somewhere right around in there. That's a great way to do it, if you have the ability to do it. So those would be my suggestions on that. But yeah, and the other thing, you could just, depending on how many birds you have, especially if you have fairly even numbers of new birds and existing birds, just throw them all together, let them fight it out a little bit. A lot of times they'll just work that out. It's not really that big of a deal. I've done that before, and a few birds get a little beat up, but then they get over it and they recover and they're just fine. So you could do that too. S.O. Swanson says to Joe Sandry, depending on your feed costs, could be like 7 to 8 cents per egg for feed only cost. Takes about 3 to 4 quail eggs per chicken egg. So if we're doing that, let's say 10 cents per egg, just to make the math easy, 40 cents an egg. So 40 cents and 40 cents for 1 chicken egg. So if the equivalent, 4 eggs, quail eggs at 10 cents each is 40 cents. I'm not really explaining this very well, am I? So if we do the math on that, that's going to be about, if you have 40 cents, 12, it's 40, 80, $1.60, three for it's like $5 a dozen or something, is it? I can't do the math in my head, but maybe I'm off, way off. I don't know. But 40 cents an egg is a little bit high. It'd actually be a little bit less than that because, like he's saying, 7 to 8 cents per egg. But anyway, you can do the math on that and see if that makes sense. Clint says, I haven't had problems either, but they were all scalped this time for some reason, about 1 square foot per bird. So, that might be a little bit crowded to try to add only 4 babies in, but who knows? It could just be an anomaly too. I mean, right now it's like breeding season's full on. So those, roosters, and you don't have a high rooster ratio, do you? You don't have too many roosters in there. That could be another reason why that's happening, but I don't know. Blessed with Pets says, I spent the whole day yesterday taking down all my cages, power washing and bleaching everything, and power washing. Such a pain, and it really sucks because I was just getting to a good point. Yeah, that does suck. I'm sorry to hear that, but it sounds like you're on the right path. You did the right thing. So cross your fingers and say a little prayer for you that you're not going to have any future issues. So and Tara says, my shire has a good video on how to figure out the cost per egg where you can plug in your own feed and cost numbers. There you go. I didn't know that. Do you have a link to it by chance? I know you can't post a link though, can you? You'll have to search it out on their channel, but you should be able to find it. Andy Rabbit says, I don't know how to get hold of the state vet, but I know everyone says if you think you have a rabbit with it, to get a hold of them. That's something to look into then. You may be able to search that out. I don't know. Is there yeah, I don't know. You may be simple as a Google search. I don't know. You have to check it out. WAG. I don't know what that stands for exactly, but anyway, is that Washington WA? I don't know. Anyway, it says, Chris, how do you feed the 2.5-week-olds when you put them in with the older birds as far as starter or layer feed? Thanks. I actually feed all my birds starter feed, but you could easily, if you're feeding layer feed to your other birds, you could just switch them over. It's not a big deal. You could switch them over to that. But I feed a starter. I feed game bird starter. It's about a 28 to 30% protein, and I feed that to all of my birds. So they get that. The adults eat that all the time. The babies eat that all the time. I don't bother switching them up to a layer feed or anything like that later on. They just get starter the whole time. So it's pretty simple for me. Marty says to Vernon, I'm doing okay, but my rabbits are having a hard time handling this heat. My rabbits are actually doing pretty good with it. It's not really, it doesn't seem to be bothering them too much. They're in a nice shady spot. It stays a little bit cooler in that part of the yard than it does, the rest of it. Still getting hot out, and but they actually seem to be doing pretty good. Blessed with Pets says, also she is housed next to my rabbit that I have a lot riding on. So if I lose him, I'm not sure I can handle it. And I was told to call a state vet also, but I've searched everywhere and can't find it. I don't know what to tell you about where to find it, unfortunately. Just, don't stress too much until it happens. There's no sense in worrying about it until it happens. Sounds like you've done everything you can to prevent anything else from happening. Let's just hope it's a one-off thing and it's not a continuing issue. You handled it correctly. So, and Tara says you could also contact your local game warden. As there are wild rabbits, they would likely know who to contact. That's not a bad idea either. You could probably go through your conservation department and find out. Bev says, brooder question. I have almost 2-week-old chicks in a Dale's quail style brooder in my living room. Every evening, they absolutely freak out, running and hopping about. Only happens at night. What's up? They're just being birds, I guess. Sometimes, yeah. The birds do that to me too. They just run around, freak out every once in a while for no reason. I don't know that there's any explanation for it necessarily. Andy Rabbit says, if I remember correctly, my shire said about $20 a bag of 50 pounds of feed. Standard is 5 cents an egg and something like that, 10 cents a jumbo. 10 cents a jumbo. I don't know what. Oh, standard bird. Okay. So the standard size quail are like 5 cents an egg. The jumbo size quail are like 10 cents an egg. Yeah. So that, yeah, I don't know. That sounds within reason. And S.O. Swanson says to Bev Smith, at 2 weeks, they are starting in running and jumping Olympics. And he has a smile there. Says they have learned they can almost fly. Yeah, that's probably right. I mean, yeah, my birds do the same things. They just run around for some reason, whatever, or maybe a fly gets in there or something. Fly gets in your brooder box, man, they go nuts. They chase it around. It's kind of funny, actually. But so Inter says to Andy Rabbit, have to adjust it now, though. No more $20 feed bags. I'm getting my feed for close to right at $20, I think. It may have been up. It may have gone up a little bit. I'll have to check it again. Blessed with Pets says, but I've been away since yesterday afternoon, so I'm really dreading going and checking on them. I've got the ones that were close to her in quarantine in a separate area. That's a good, I mean, you're doing the right things. So don't stress about it, until something does happen. Don't let it worry you to death, because chances are it probably won't. But Andy Rabbit says, blessed with Pets, call a local vet and ask for the state information, the state vet information, or call a zoo. Those are good suggestions too. Bev says, let's see, Swanson, but it's like they are freaking out. They calm down eventually. Yeah, I mean, it's just not abnormal. It's pretty normal for them to do that. Roger says maybe they're startled. Do you have other pets? It could be that. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of different things. They can get kind of jumpy for some reason. Did I miss one from Katrina? I don't know what that was. Okay, Blessed with Pets says, well, the rabbit is too far gone now, so if I lose another one, I'll continue the vet search. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's nothing you can do about the one you've lost now. If you start seeing symptoms or have issues with another rabbit, then definitely look into it. But, I don't know there's much you can do right now. David says feed costs are high for quail because they like to have food fights. Yeah, definitely keep them fed all the time. Make sure they don't run out of food. That's for sure. And make sure that use a no waste quail feeder, a low waste quail feeder. That you don't want a lot of waste with your quail food because they are messy eaters. They will throw food everywhere. Verna says, what I do, Chris, is I throw them into a large sandbox for about an hour and a half, then put them all in the cage close to dusk. Yeah, that's another suggestion I've heard too. Yeah, put them in like a big tote or something like that. It's a brand new environment for all of them. Leave them in there for a couple of hours, and then, like Verna says, right around dusk, throw them all in there. She's talking about when you combine new birds in with your existing flock. The key is to get them, introduce them in a neutral environment, not in an environment that, is one bird's environment, because they will get territorial. Bev Smith says, I'm about to feed them 2-week-old quail chicks. What? Oh, about your dogs being in the kitchen waiting for dinner. Okay, I'm with you now. You had me confused. Diversity Love says, how is your leg? I don't mean to pry, so you don't have to answer. How's my leg? Are you talking about the stents I had to have put in because I was having problems with my left leg? It's fine. Everything's perfectly fine now. I'm on a high blood pressure medicine. I'm on a blood thinner and a statin right now. I don't know if those are working or not. I got to follow up with my doctor here in a couple of weeks or so. I'm supposed to be taking my blood pressure on a regular basis. I don't really do a good job of that. I kind of forget about it. I don't feel bad. I mean, I feel fine. Everything's great. I'm able to walk around, no problems. I mean, it just fixed it. So everything's going good. I guess we'll find out at the follow-up if I have any further problems, but it seems to be pretty good. S.O. Swanson says that's about $4 a dozen compared to chicken eggs. Okay, well, $4 a dozen is probably a little high compared. Like, you can buy chicken eggs cheaper than that now. Used to not for a while you couldn't, but And there's the link. How many for eggs? There's the link to the MyShire video. So Verna posted it. Thank you, Verna. S.O. Swanson says, search state vet and your state, and it'll show up in Google for you. It didn't work for me. I get the Veterinary Medical Board. Let me try it again. State vet, Missouri. No, I just get a link of veterinarians. I don't know. I'd have to look into that a little bit more. That might work, though. Bev Smith says cost per quail spreadsheet is included as part of the Quail University. Worth the price of the entire course right there for me. There you go. Still have not made it through Quail University. I got to find time to do that. Verna says, my cooey laid around during the hottest part of the day. Then they get active again. They don't seem to have any problems in this heat. Yeah, my rabbits are pretty much the same way. They just kind of hang out on the cage, sprawled out on the wire, laying around during the hottest part of the day, and then they start getting a little bit more active at night. I mean, I think it's all animals do that, especially animals that are, like rabbits and things that are primarily active at dusk and dawn. Those two, that's where they're primarily active. So, and Tara's got a really good suggestion. I didn't think about this. It's a good point. To Bless with Pets says you may want to sanitize your hands between rabbits as well. So that's a really good suggestion. You handle one rabbit, sanitize your hands before you go to handle another one. So, and Tara says putting the lights on a dimmer when the light goes out will make them calmer. It gives them sunset instead of just the lights go out. Yeah, that's not a bad suggestion either. Roger wants to know what everyone is paying for 30% for a 50-pound bag currently for the Game Bird starter. Yeah, I think mine's gone up. It used to be like 13 something a bag. I think it's gone up to like 17 or maybe it's 18 right now. I don't know. I've got to double check. I usually buy several bags. I don't really pay that much attention to the cost, but I know it has gone up. Okay, so Dawn says, just checked my feed prices now. Egg layer is $11.89, and Game Bird went down after going up last month. It's now $18.49. S.O. Swanson says, I pay $18 for 17% chicken layer, $21 for 30% starter. And Verna says, using Chewy has been a little better for me for Game Bird feed. Let me check what it costs for a 50-pound bag. So interesting to hear that. I'm kind of surprised that they're usually more expensive. What is that? Checkaw Carver? Am I reading that? I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. Anyway, says my quail just started laying last week. I'm making an incubator out of a styrofoam ice chest in anticipation for trying to hatch some in a couple of weeks. Well, nice. Hopefully that works out well. I actually haven't made my own incubator, so I know that I know there's plenty of people out there that have. There's videos you can watch on how to make your own. You probably already got a pretty good idea because you're already working on it. So hopefully it works out well. Good luck with that. And that sounds like good luck. I don't mean it like that. I mean good luck. Seriously, good luck. I hope it does work out well. Roger says currently paying $20 for 30% 50-pound, $15 for 20% 50-pound for layer pellets. So, Verna says, okay, on the Game Bird starter crumble 50-pound bag for $25.99. And then Roger says, praise God. I'm not sure. I agree, praise God, but I'm not sure what that's a response to. And Verna says, I was paying that price for a 40-pound bag elsewhere. Wow, that is interesting. Roger says, is that a organic or non-GMO variation? I don't know. I doubt it, but who knows? And Diversity Love says, so glad to hear that you are doing well. Well, thank you. I'm glad too. It was like an instant. I mean, it was instantly better. I mean, as soon as I had those put in, I was better. It was pretty amazing, really. Spider Eva says, I noticed one of my quail is keeping one eye closed most of the time. Should I be concerned? Probably got pecked. I'm probably not concerned. I mean, there's not a whole lot. As long as it doesn't get infected and look like all swollen and red and all that, I wouldn't worry about it. They heal amazingly well. Blessed with Pets says, yes, I actually shower and change in between my quarantine rabbits and my other rabbits. Current rabbit count is 15, and I had it lined up to get 4 really nice does next week, and now I can't get them. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. That's unfortunate for sure. Give us some time. This, like everything else, this will work out one way or another, and I'm sure you'll be okay in the end. It's just a stressful time. Brian says, do female quail need a male to lay eggs, and how often will they lay if they don't need a male? They don't need a male. Coturnix quail, they lay eggs based on the amount of light that they're getting and stress. Those are the two things that really affect them not laying. So you should expect about 1 egg per day out of all of your hens, assuming that they've got enough light and they're not in a high stress place. Now, the things that stress birds out, the quail anyway, like moving locations, moving them from one cage to another or something like that, that stresses them out. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. Those are the main things that will stress them out. Sometimes, if you have like really heavy predator pressure and there's a predator that's, really pestering them on a nightly basis, that may cause issues with it. But that's regardless of whether they have a male in the cage or not. It has nothing to do with how many eggs they're going to lay. But they should. 14 hours a day of light on a consistent basis, they're going to lay an egg a day. And you can put an artificial light on them in the wintertime when the days start getting shorter and bump those hours up, and they'll continue to lay all winter long. So, hopefully that should answer it for you. Blessed with Pets says, well, when I was looking up the Louisiana State Veterinary, it was showing up as Baton Rouge, which is 4 hours from me in Shreveport, and I'm only 15. So even if I wanted to drive there, I couldn't. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I know. I'm sorry. You'll figure something out. Wait till it becomes another issue. Like you said, if you have another rabbit, then you're going to need to worry about it and figure it out. But until then, don't stress about it too much. You're doing the right things. Keep doing what you're doing. Give it 30 days or so. And after 30 days, you can pretty much assume you're in the clear. Bev says she's paying $30 for 50 pounds. Wow. Happy Homestead says, I pay $29.89 for a 50-pound bag of 30% at the feed store. So $29.89, yeah, that's a little high. Unfortunately, that's what you have to deal with, huh? Let's see. Oh, that's for, you got 40-pound bag. Okay, I got you. Okay. Vernon says a game bird starter at Tractor Supply costs about $30 for a 40-pound bag. Yeah, feed at Tractor Supply is incredibly high. But if you can find a local feed store, or better yet, a local feed mill, you can get a lot cheaper. S.O. Swanson saying to Don that $11 for a 40-pound bag is good. I may have to come and get some. That is good, yeah. Don says it's, what is that? Buchite? I don't know what that is. In St. Louis through Central Illinois, must be a feed store. Andy's saying I pay $18 for game bird and $14 for 20% chicken. Look at that. All prices all over the place, huh? Dale's Quails is here. Says, howdy, Chris and friends. Late, but I still made it. Hope everyone's gardens are strong, livestock producing, and summer going well. Yeah, summer's not bad. The gardens, for the most part, it's doing pretty good. I lost a few tomato plants, had some blight issues, and I've been pretty lazy about gardening. I've just let it go and gone out and harvested, and that's it. I turn the water onto it every day and water it, but I haven't really gone out and pruned. Like, I noticed a tomato plant was getting blight, and I didn't go out and prune the blight, off of it. I just kind of let it go and see how it did. Been a little bit lazy with it, honestly. But it's still doing pretty good. We're starting to harvest pretty good now. I did 3 jars of pickled okra this morning before heading to work. And the okra, that's the first harvest of okra we got. So there's a lot more coming. G. Michael Jr. says, good evening, Chris, and all questions. Good evening, Chris, and all question. Is there a time of the year that you do not want to hatch out quail? I typically don't hatch them out in the middle of winter because it's too cold out and it's just too much of a pain. I got to keep them in the brooder a little bit longer. Got to fuss with it being a little bit warm. It's just so much easier in the spring and the summer. So I typically don't do it in the wintertime. But you can do it however you want. You can definitely hatch them out in the wintertime if you want to. And let's see. Abba Love says, when do the quails need sand? Mine are 8 days old. Well, they don't absolutely need sand. It's just I like to give them a sandbox because they do enjoy a sandbox. They spend a lot of their time in the sandbox. They lay most of their eggs in the sandbox. They're easier to collect. They're cleaner. The eggs are, I mean, they just come out really clean. There's hardly ever anything stuck to the eggs. They're just clean as can be. So I like to use a sandbox. I think it's good for them, but they don't absolutely have to have it. You could give them a sandbox at 8 days old if you wanted to, but you don't need to. You can wait until they're older, and you can do it whenever you want to. Where are we at here? Oh, that's a good point too. Verna brings up. She's saying they don't need sand unless you're feeding them something besides their crumbles. So yeah, they would need grit if they're going to be eating like live insects, seeds, fruit, and something besides just like a commercial game bird crumble. They'll need grit to help digest that. Sand works as grit, so you can, that's what she's kind of referring to. But they don't absolutely have to have sand. She's right. S.O. Swanson saying, blessed with pets, you can call them. They are the state vet, and they have reps in almost every county. There you go. There's a good suggestion. Bob Cole says, I use Chewy too for the feed, but buying Comback, I think is what it is, for a bit more. Cheaper than adding a 140-mile round trip to TSC for anything or another feed store. Yeah, if you had to go 140 miles to a feed store, that would definitely be difficult. Dale's Quail says, to all the high-priced feed commoners, grow some comfrey and thank me later. Yeah, comfrey's not a bad idea either. You could definitely do that. Verna says, no local feed mills around me. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We've got one. I got to drive, 15 miles to get there. Well, maybe not quite that far. It's probably, anyway, I got to drive a little ways. It's not that bad. It's a 15 to 20-minute drive, about a 25-minute drive probably. But it is significantly cheaper, makes it worth the drive. Blessed with Pets says, yeah, I'm trying to be positive about it, but the way people put it, I could stand to lose my whole herd within the week. Also, I just don't know what else it could be because of what happened to her. Yeah, I know it's tough. Like I said, it's a stressful time. Don't stress about it until you have other issues. Don't worry yourself to death over it because it could just be a one-time isolated, never know what happened kind of event. Who knows? It does sound bad, but then again, you're doing everything you need to be doing. Keep doing it. Don't stress until you have other issues. RBL Jackson says, yo, what's up, all? Still hot here in Texas. Can't seem to get highs below 100 every day. Yeah, but it's July. It's always over 100 in Texas in July, isn't it? Depending on what part of Texas you live in, I guess. Texas is a big state, but it is. I lived there for a while. I know it gets hot. Let's see. So Swanson says, those with temps over 100, please keep it in your area. I'm only 98 here. Yeah, no, we got it. We're over 100 every day. It's just that time of year. Spider Eva says, in regards to the heat here in Florida, I put in the sandbox a couple of frozen 1/2 gallon waters and a fan. Yeah, I don't do any of that. I just don't mess with it. They do fine, but do whatever you need to. I do keep them in shade. Make sure they're shaded, but that's all I do. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, I found that low protein feed can also keep quail from laying. I've heard issues with that, but I know lots of people that switch to a lower protein, layer feed, and the quail do fine. I almost wonder if it's like when you make that switch, maybe there's a little bit of stress while they're adjusting to the new diet, so they kind of slow their laying down, and then pick back up later on. I don't know. I haven't actually tried it. I've had to get lower protein feed for them before and fed them just small amounts of that. Haven't had any issues, but who knows? For some reason, I just like a higher protein feed. That's what I use. I get good results. My birds, they lay for a very long time. I mean, I got birds that are going on, 2 years old that still lay an egg every day. I mean, they're doing fine. Abba Love says, thank you for answering. You are absolutely welcome. Verna says that she hatches all year long. So yeah, you could definitely do that. Andy Rabbit says, blessed with pets. There's a guy on YouTube that lives in Australia, and he says he can breed faster than it can kill his herd off. That's reassuring. 4-minute warning. Yep. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. We are out of time already. It is 9 o'clock. I got to wrap this one up. We only got a couple more comments, so let me see if I can get through them and get this wrapped up real quick. Bev says, I plan on hatching all year round, but it doesn't get as cold here, and the dogs need to eat. Yeah, if it doesn't get that cold, there's no reason to stop for sure. Spider Eva says, I give my quail mealworms, and they love it. I don't feed them too frequently. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Mealworms are great protein as long as you don't just go too, overboard where that's like their main diet. S.O. Swanson says, I pull black soldier flies from under the cage and feed those to my quail. I've done that from time to time too. They do enjoy those. They like them a lot. I'm going to skip the comments because we're out of time. Or if you're addressing somebody else, I'm skipping over it. Child of God says, sorry, I missed you. Had a hatching disaster today. Think fixed now. Oh, I hope you did. I'm sorry to hear that. It's never a good thing. Hopefully you got it fixed. Happy Homestead says, I put a water in their sand bath room and they had it gummed up solid with sand like it was beach sand. Crazy. Not sure why these two failed in the heat. 2 different ages. I'm not sure what that. I think you were talking to somebody else on your other one. Oh, okay. So Happy Homestead says, I lost 2 birds to the heat here in South Central Missouri today. Extra waters with cool water, misting them with the sprayer, a little tray with cold water, and frozen water bottles. Maybe you should remove all that stuff, especially the mister. Misting is, you don't want to mist the birds themselves. If you're going to put a mister, you want to mist the cage area. But it's too humid here for misters to actually work that well. It's like a swamp cooler. That works in the desert, very dry climates, and it's just a little too humid here for that to work. I don't do any of that. I did lose a bird. Today I had a bird that had died, and it could be because of the heat, but it's like a 2.5-year-old bird. So, it's probably on its way out anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. You may want to, I don't do any of those things. And I have very few, if any, loss. Like I said, I lost 1 bird today, and that's rare. So, and hopefully that didn't sound hateful when I said you may want to take all that stuff out, but that may be what's causing some issues if you're having them, because I don't do any of those and they do just fine. I think we're right at, we got it all. I think we got it all. I gotta stop here. So hopefully I didn't, like I said, that didn't, oh, you did that stuff after you found the other 2 dead. Okay. Never mind. But the misters, don't mist the birds themselves. You don't want them wet all the time. That's not good. You want to, like I said, if you're going to put misters out, mist the hutch area so that it evaporates. It helps reduce the temperature. But it's probably not even worth it in Missouri because, like I said, we're just too humid here. So anyway, okay, I got to wrap this one up, guys. Sorry we ran out of time. I went a little bit over, but that's okay. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me. I do enjoy the time I get to spend here with you guys. Always look forward to it. Thanks for joining. Hopefully should be back next week. I don't see any reason why we won't be. So we'll see you guys then. And until then, as always, God bless.